All right, first post-free agency mock draft coming to you from GBU. This is the 2022 draft. This is our second mock draft on our channel. We've had a couple go up from individuals on the account on Instagram. Make sure to follow us on all the socials. And as always, I'm here with JD and Reese in the house. How you guys feeling today heading into this first mock draft and post-free agency?
Doing great, KB.
I'm excited.
Doing great, KB, and this should be fun. I don't know your picks. You don't know my picks, so we're all blind to what we're doing. We're kind of just picking on the fly. So I'm very excited for this. I'm hoping for a good episode here. Should be fun.
Yeah.
So the way we're
going to get some insight.
The way we're going to be doing this is instead of all of us doing our own mock draft, we will each be picking every third pick. So the order will go me, John, Reese. I'll take the Jaguars. John will take the Lions, Reese the Texans, and we'll just move on in that order throughout the draft. So it makes it really interesting because it makes the picks difficult, towards the middle of the draft especially, and even at the top of the draft. We already are prepared for some surprises, a little bit of hot takes and stuff that we think can happen, but maybe not everyone else is expecting to happen. So I'll get us started with an easy one at the first pick. Jaguars select Aidan Hutchinson from Michigan. Hutchinson almost won the Heisman Trophy this year, D-end at Michigan this year. He really burst onto the scene. Knew he was a talented player coming into the season. And like I said, almost won the Heisman. These Big Ten D-ends have been absolute can't misses over the last decade with the Bosas, Chase Young, list goes on and on. Jaguars stocked up a little bit on their offensive line through free agency with Brandon Scherf and also franchise-taking Cam Robinson. I could see them still going tackle. Personally, I think I would go with one of the two tackles, but Hutchinson's just a great player also. Can't go wrong. So pass it off to pick 2 in Detroit.
Yes, in Detroit. So I definitely think Detroit takes a quarterback at some point in this draft. I do not think it will be pick 2. With pick 2, I have the Detroit Lions selecting Travon Walker, edge from Georgia. Now, it might be a bit high, but I'm not going to – I want to get this out there. There's going to be a little hot takes in this one. I think Walker, with his draft stock, it's risen extremely in the combine. I think he's going to launch himself into the top 10, probably minimum. A trade out's definitely possible here. I think the plan was always to take Hutchinson. Now that he's won, I still have the Lions taking edge, and I think they reach a little bit for Travon Walker, who might wind up being the best edge in this class. So to me, I got Walker. Might be a bit high, but don't have the Lions taking a quarterback here. Maybe at the end of the first round, early second. We'll see.
All right, so I'm picking for the Texans here. JD, you really threw me for a loop there.
Yeah.
I still think I'm going to go with my original assumption, which is Kyle Hamilton. The Texans kind of need someone at every position right now. He's a 6'4", 220-foot athletic freak. He's played well in coverage. He played well against the run. He's an all-around just absolute stud. He's known as the athletic freak of the draft, and I think he's going to end up being pretty solid for wherever he goes. But this draft is about to get interesting. I'm excited.
Dude, I'll be honest with you. I wanted Walker at 4 with the Jets because Walker, the stock is so high. Kyle Hamilton, also a great pick, one of the seemingly can't-miss prospects. But now Walker's the top 2 edges, I think, for the Jets are off. The third best edge, I think, for the Jets, third most likely, is Jermaine Johnson. But I got to go with Ekwonu here for the Jets because there is a huge question mark at both tackle positions for the Jets. They have 5 offensive line starters right now that they're very confident in. Last year, Fant was one of the best tackles in the league, but he's only got a year left on his contract. He's moving from the left side to the right side. I think he's gone after this year anyways. I don't even think there's a chance he might not even play for the Jets this year in a scenario like this. So I'm going to go with Ekwonu, who I think is the second best player in the draft behind Hutchinson, but really fun first 4 picks so far.
Oh, all right. Now, pick 5, the other New York team. I was going to go Ekwonu. I definitely think the Giants will definitely take a hard look at Ekwonu if he's there by their pick. And the Jets, obviously, you had to change up because your 2 best pass rushers were gone. So they pick Ekwonu for the Giants. At pick 5, I have Ahmad Sauce Gardner. I think he's the top corner in this class. I think, depending on what the Giants do with Bradbury, I still think they need to add a corner at some point. And I think he's just too good to pass up at pick 5. They also have another pick at pick 7, so they could still take tackle. We'll see what Reese does at pick 6 for Carolina. I think Sauce is the cornerback 1 in this class, and I think he'll get taken in the top 5, whether it's the Jets or the Giants.
All right, carrying on with the Panthers. I want to go Thibs, but I can't. With Malik's pro day today, I'm gonna have to go with the Panthers picking Malik Willis. He's been rising. His draft stock has been rising consistently ever since the combine started. There was some stuff coming out about how he was a good guy to have on your team, and he showed on his pro day, celebrating in the end zone with all of his buddies after his just a solid all around good pro day. You could see he's a team player. I think it's a good pick for the Panthers, who really need to assess the quarterback situation, but. I think another runner-up for that was Charles Cross too, but we'll talk about him as the draft goes on.
All right, so, interesting here, but the Giants now second pick of the first round. They're the first back-to-back to take place. Thibs has fallen, and you get a good look here at 2 of the top players in the draft, Evan Neal and Kayvon Tibodeaux, but with a corner at pick 5, I got to go with Evan Neal for the Giants to really start this offensive line rebuild. They added Feliciano at center. They have Andrew Thomas at left tackle. They added Glowinski at right guard. I thought they did a good job this offseason adding to what they already had with Andrew Thomas for the money they had. So let's add Evan Neal here and start to build a wall in front of whoever your quarterback of the future is going to be.
You know what, KB? I was actually, I didn't even consider Evan Neal being there at 5.
Yeah, I forgot he was, honestly.
So
I really did.
I think either way, it still ends up 5, Neal, 7, Gardner. I think they end up with those 2 anyway, so it doesn't really make a difference. But I forgot about him.
Also,
just because I thought he'd go 3.
You make a good point, because in this scenario, if you're the Giants at 5, you kind of have a back-to-back if you weren't planning on taking a quarterback, because the Panthers are almost forced to take one in this draft.
Yeah,
Probably
they
Malik
said they
Willis
weren't interested
there.
in Baker either. So that kind of solidified it for me. That's why I picked
Matt
him.
Rule, the GM, they're trying to save their jobs. So I think that the Giants, in this scenario, it's a really good one, because you do kind of have a back-to-back if you're not taking a quarterback.
All right. Pick 8. I'm up with the Falcons. They just signed Marcus Mariota, obviously traded Matt Ryan for a 3rd-round pick. I think they're going to try to win with Mariota. And right now you look at that wide receiver depth chart, and like Olamide Zaccheaus is their wide receiver 1. To me, I think the pick here is Garrett Wilson out of Ohio State. I think he's wide receiver 1. You could debate that however you want with him in London. They seem to be above everybody else. But the Falcons, without Ridley this year, they got to really start filling up that wide receiver depth chart. And I think at pick 8, while there's a lot of holes, I think wide receiver is probably the biggest one. I think they go Wilson and get themselves a wide receiver 1 for next year.
All right, on to Seattle. I did not think this would be a possibility for them, but I got to take Thibs with them. Seattle's defense was horrible last year. They couldn't really get to the rush, or they couldn't really get to the quarterback. This is a must pick in that situation if this were to happen. I originally was thinking that the Seattle would go offensive line because of how bad they were. They were just not able to protect Russell Wilson for his last year there. So in all reality, I think they go tackle, but if Thibs is there, they got to take him.
I think he might be there, honestly. There's a good chance one of the top 8 teams takes him, and definitely Atlanta could take him for sure at 8. I think there's a good chance he hits the 8, 9, 10 range, and I think the Seahawks is not that far-fetched, although if he's not there, they will probably take a tackle, like you said.
I have to pause you guys here. Armstead, 5-year deal to the Dolphins.
Wow.
Damn.
So that could change the draft a little bit here.
So that changes how we're looking down the
definitely does.
It won't matter for us because we have Carl Lawson rushing him. So, no, all jokes aside, though, Thibs, interesting character in the draft, similar to Micah Parsons, where no positive report has come out about the person that he is and the teammate that he is. And the work ethic, I don't know if any of it's true. All of it could be smokescreen from GMs like Joe Douglas and Joe Shane, who sit at 4 and 5 and want him to fall there, or even from further down the draft. So this is a scenario that I think is very possible for him going in this 8 to 12 range. Pick 10, we go back to the Jets, who have their pick acquired from Seattle. I got to go with Drake London here. I think that they really like Drake London, unless, like I said, that could be smokescreen also. You never know during draft season. But I think they really like Drake London, and Ekwonu and London have been the two players attached to Joe Douglas this whole offseason. And especially with Garrett Wilson gone, whether he's there or not, I think that this is just their receiver of preference. This seems like the guy that they like the most. Adds a wide receiver 1 for Zach Wilson. I think they have a lot of confidence in Elijah Moore as well. So the Jets' 2 picks end with Ekwonu and London, and I think it's a pretty good job of working on that offense.
Love those 2 picks.
Yeah.
All right, let's swing it to Washington with the Commanders. The Commanders' first draft pick with the new team name. They just got Carson Wentz. Go snag yourself a franchise left tackle and Trevor Penning from Northern Iowa. I think he's a bully. We saw it at the Senior Bowl, and there were some controversial clips, but he is a boulder at left tackle, and he is a bully, and he will run you into the ground if he has a chance. I think this might be a bit of a reach, but if you have a tackle you really like out there, I think Trevor Penning goes to the Commanders at 11.
All right. I'm sitting here with the Vikings.
Cross still there. Sorry, Reese. Cross is still there.
That's what I was looking at with the Vikings.
Did not anticipate that.
Yeah, I wasn't expecting Cross to be here. I got to make this decision on the spot.
Penning could be a guy that goes over Cross, though.
Mm-hmm.
In my
I
opinion,
think so too. Yeah,
because of Cross's lack of impact in the running game. Where, like you said, JD, Penning is it's like putting Ryan Jensen at tackle. He's just an absolute bully.
Yeah.
All right. The Vikings were pretty weak at corner last year, so I'm going to go with Derek Stingley at number 12 for the Vike. He started off the draft as the prolific CB1, and then slowly over time you saw Gardner. More came out about him and the guy that he is. He had only let up 130 yards the entire season, didn't let up a touchdown in his career. So I think clearly that teams prefer Sauce over him, but he's still a very, very solid CB1.
I like the pick there. I agree with it. I think Stingley has definitely high upside. Obviously, the injuries concern you, and he's not the corner 1 anymore. But if you get him at 12, I think it's a win.
Yeah.
Interested to see what you do here, KB, with the Texans pick for the Browns from Watson.
Is interesting.
Yeah, it's interesting because they definitely want to build around Davis Mills. They've made that clear. They got rid of Watson. They got a lot of draft capital. And I think if a guy like Charles Cross falls this far, you got to start adding the protection for Davis Mills. There's a lot of wide receiver depth. They're going to get a chance at one of those top 5-6 guys who falls out of the first round, Christian Watson, Olave, Jahan Dotson. So they're going to get an opportunity to take one of those guys early in the second, get the offensive tackle now, and you never know what the status is going to be with Tunsil as this offseason progresses. So either way, they're looking for a tackle. Cross fills both spots wherever there's an opening.
And I think Houston walks away with this first round. There are 2 picks pretty happy. If they snag Hamilton 3, and on the back end at pick 13, whether it's Cross, whether it's Penning, I think one of them will be there. So they'll still walk away with a tackle too now with that extra pick.
Also, something interesting just to think about quick with those 2 picks. Now that they have this pick at 13, you can take the risk of a safety at 3 because you know you're getting high value at one of the priority positions at pick 13.
Yep. All right. We're going to 14 with the Ravens, an unusually high pick for them. Usually they're picking somewhere in the 20s. But I got them going Tyler Linderbaum, center, and out of Iowa. And just because they lost Bozeman to Carolina, he was their center. And I think they definitely need to add a center. And I heard Eric DeCosta, their GM during the Combine, said Linderbaum's the type of guy who can really be a centerpiece of your O-line. And I don't know if he'll wind up taking him in April, but I think that tells you a lot about the player Tyler Linderbaum is, and I don't think he falls out of the top 15. So I got him going to the Ravens at 14.
All right. So Eagles at 15. They have back-to-back here, so that's going to sway my pick a little bit. I'm going to go with Devin Lloyd for the Eagles. I think this kid is severely underrated as you can be for a linebacker going top 15 in the draft. I think he's an absolute stud. He's a ball hawk, and he gets to the ball very quickly, makes some solid tackles. I really like him. I think he'll be a solid addition wherever he goes. I would have liked to see him go to the Ravens. Honestly, I feel like that's a very Ravens pick, but it's not a position of need right now. So,
yeah, Eagles got this back-to-back, and they get the pick at 19 also. So I'm going to go with Jermaine Johnson here, who has definitely fell further than I think he's going to fall, but he's one of those guys, and this is interesting doing this because it gives so many different thought processes of the three of us. It's not just our own, and that's what's going to happen. So that's why this is actually pretty fun right now.
Yeah.
Jermaine Johnson, though, to the Eagles, and that's a great 2 picks for their front 7 in Philly. When's the last time that Philly, even when they won the Super Bowl, when's the last time that they had a dominant, fast front 7? They haven't, especially in the linebackers. So Reese, really good pick there. Philly gets 16, Jermaine Johnson, and they get another one at 19 in a few minutes.
All right. For 17, we are sliding to the Chargers, and I think that this is the floor for Jordan Davis to go in this draft. I think he is a top 17 pick just because I don't see him getting past the Chargers. He had the insane historic combine, obviously boosted his draft value. And this is really the one need that the Chargers really got to address in the draft, and that's interior D lineman, because obviously we know their run defense was really bad last season. Whether it's Davis, whether it's Wyatt here, I think the Chargers take D line, but who knows? I just think it's the one position that they need. And there are some other picks I liked here. I think maybe Jameson Williams is a sneaky one in case Keenan Allen's on his way out. They want to replace him. They don't really need wide receiver right away. I think that's a sneaky pick here, but the safe one is Jordan Davis. I don't think he falls past 17.
All right. So the Saints. I am going to have the Saints picking Berhnard Raimann at 18. They got a hole at tackle. I think this is a good opportunity to fill it. I was watching his pro day. I think he's a stud blocker. He's aggressive. He has no mercy for the opponent. I think that's a sneaky good pickup for the Saints. That'll just keep their run game going, especially if they get Kamara back this year.
All right, so I think we go back to pick 19, and this is exactly what, if I was Howie Roseman sitting at 16 when I'm picking Jermaine Johnson and Devin Lloyd going on the defense, is exactly what I hope happens. Jameson Williams ends up being there at 19, coming off the ACL injury. They might really get blessed here with that. It might be a blessing in disguise for the Eagles and for Jameson Williams, reunite with Devonta Smith and a team that's trying to win a pretty weak division this year. This would be a home run pick for Philly, but there's also a lot of good receivers left, like Treylon Burks, Chris Olave, Jahan Dotson, Christian Watson, any of those guys. But the Eagles do have to walk away with another good receiver this year with these 3 picks.
All right, let's swing into the Steelers at pick 20. Kenny Pickett still on the board. I think it's definitely a possibility, but I think Malik Willis is really the guy that they like, and I think they're fine rolling Trubisky out there next year. So I'm going to go with probably their biggest need, and it's corner Trent McDuffie. I don't know. The Pickett pick here is probably a lot that people would go with. They're going to need a quarterback for the future if Trubisky doesn't work out. But I think Trubisky can win them games, and I think corner losing Joe Hayden is probably by far the biggest need on this team. So I think Trent McDuffie is the right pick here at 20.
All right, I'm going to go a little bold here. I don't think this is a very much of a Patriots pick at 21. But I'm going to have the Pats drafting Olave. I think they realize that it's about time to get Mac Jones some help with a real wide receiver instead of a tight end in Jonnu Smith and Hunter Henry. I think he can be a nice deep threat and a good escape if the Pats are able to run the ball well. So, if they like him, I think there's definitely a good chance that they take him. I'm not really sure how they feel about him, but I think Olave is a stud.
Yeah, and that's who I'm hoping would have went 22, right behind New England. So that's unfortunate, but I love Olave. I hope he's a Packer at 22.
So speaking of the Packers, here we go to recently acquired pick 22. I think if Treylon Burks falls here, there's so much upside. I think he'll be there at 22. I don't think the Patriots are going to go for another physical receiver after what happened with N'Keal Harry. Get the tactical route runner. Packers, we go Treylon Burks, got to replace Devontae Adams and start filling out a receiving core with 3 or 4 studs. I think they need to add at least 3 guys this offseason. So that's the first of their 2 picks, and I think they'd be pretty happy walking away with any of the receivers left, but Burks is the preference for me.
I love that pick. I obviously I want Olave, I think, is my dream at 22 just because I think he can be there. Obviously, London and Wilson, I'd love them. But if we walk away with Treylon Burks too, whether it's at 22 or 28, I'm fine with that. So let's swing it to pick number 23. We've got the Arizona Cardinals. Now, there's a lot of ways they could go here. I think if Linderbaum's there, which is unlikely, he could be a pick here. I think they got to go O-line. And I think whichever of the 2 guards between Zion Johnson and Kenyon Green show or higher on their board goes here. So I'm going to go Kenyon Green guard from A&M. I just think it's a desperate position in need. Whether you want to go Zion, whether you want to go Kenyon, I don't think it matters here. Get O-line, help Kyler Murray, and you just gotta shore up that O-line because he was running for his life on every play. And I think guard is definitely the biggest position in need for the Cardinals.
All right. So the next at 24 is going to be the Cowboys. I did want to just touch on Karlaftis as he has continued to fall in our draft. In my opinion, I think that's what should happen in real life. I'm not really impressed with his outside moves. He's a strong guy, but guys are going to be able to negate that if you're able to push outside. So I think that's the reason he's going to fall. I'm going to have the Cowboys going with Devontae Wyatt here, though. They lost some D linemen this offseason. I think it's important to fill that run gap. And this, I think if he's down, I think he was the 17th ranked player. So if he's down here at 24, I think the Cowboys will snag him.
Yeah, I agree.
So you go to Buffalo, an AFC heavyweight, but there's many of them now. Top 10 player in my draft rankings. This would be an absolute steal for any team outside of pick 20. Nakobe Dean to Buffalo in this scenario would just be absolutely ridiculous. Pair him with Von Miller and Edmonds at the linebackers, and that's one of the fastest, most lethal linebacking cores in the league. You get a superstar in the middle of your defense. I absolutely love Nakobe Dean, but he's got size and speed concerns that could realistically make him fall here, where Devin Lloyd, who I don't think is as good of a player, could go higher because he's definitely a better athlete.
All right. Pick 26, you got the Tennessee Titans, also trying to stay relevant in the AFC. All these teams are loading up. The Titans just got Robert Woods, so I don't think they'll go wide receiver here, which was a position in need before. I think whoever's here, whether it's Kenyon Green or Zion Johnson, whichever one hasn't went, I think is who will go here. So I'll take Zion Johnson, guard out of Boston College. I think it's just another position in need for the Titans. They need to shore up those interior offensive linemen, and with him, and you have Derrick Henry still running behind him. I think it's a fine pick. I also think Karlaftis could go here too. But I had Zion Johnson originally, so I'll stick with it.
All right. At 27, I'm picking for the Bucks here. This one's kind of tough, especially on PFF. They don't have their needs updated. Let me just take a look real quick what I had. I had Zion Johnson. I thought he was going to fall here.
The Bucks kind of are loaded everywhere, so it's kind of
they are.
Yeah, pick here.
They definitely need secondary.
Yeah, my pick here is Lewis Cine. I don't know how to say his last name. Cine. He's ranked 28th. He's been solid. He was obviously on Georgia, which is stud defense. He's got that experience that you need to win. I don't think the Bucks really need to add anything major here, but if they can add a solid guy in the secondary that can make tackles, like their old safety Whitehead that just left, I think they'll be okay.
Yeah, he had an awesome combine and pro day, or Georgia. He didn't actually do much in the Georgia pro day, but he had an awesome combine, really good season. Guy that was projected second round, could go at the bottom of the first. That's a really good pick there, especially like you said after the loss of Jordan Whitehead. And that Bucs secondary was banged up, but they were abysmal all year. Guys like Pierre Desir at corner one, and Richard Sherman came in. It was just they definitely need to add to that secondary this year, and that's a great pick right there. Packers, second pick here. We went Treylon Burks with the first one. Who else is a receiver on this team after year one aside from Amari Rodgers? No one. So Jahan Dotson from Penn State. He has the best hands in the country, 1% drop rate. Dotson to Green Bay. Start filling out weapons for Raj. Add a guy like Jarvis Landry or Cole Beasley, and just go all in at the draft here. I love Dotson. I'm a huge fan. I hope he falls in the second round to my Jets. Like I said, great hands, great routes, really fast player. Packers leave with 2 wide receivers. I think their fans will be pretty excited, JD.
I would definitely be excited. Will they leave with 2 wide receivers? That remains to be determined. But they did sign a defense interior lineman today, so I'm going to say that unless Davis and Wyatt are there at their picks, ain't going to happen. So really, you got wide receiver, you got tight end. You're not reaching at a tight end here. I love 2 wide receivers. Will they do it? I hope. Remains to be seen. All right, pick 29. We got the Dolphins. They took a wide receiver in the first round last year. I think this is a prime spot for a tackle, but now they just signed Teron Armstead. So I'm going to do a little 180 here and go wide receiver Jameson Williams.
We got Jameson Williams at 19.
Yeah, he already went.
Oh.
Big mistake for the Dolphins on draft day here.
Eagles,
running
my
in
bad.
that card. No, you're good.
I missed that. I do have a
you still got Christian Watson left.
We'll just leave it up on the screen because I can't edit it, but I have Tyler Smith, tackle from Tulsa. Now, an unknown kind of name, but from probably a lot of people who don't follow it as much as us, but I've been reading into him, and I was looking at tackles there at the Dolphins, possibly if Raimann wasn't there, and Trevor Penning's definitely not there. So I think Tyler Smith, after his pro day, he's been climbing up a lot of people's draft boards. I think it's a realistic scenario for the Dolphins. Now you sign Armstead, you have Tyler Smith. That's probably 2 franchise tackles you got at least for 5 years. We know Armstead's in there for 5 years. So I think you shore up that offensive line and hopefully let Tua sling it next year. Definitely make or break for Tua. Give him all the protection he needs.
All right, so I'm picking for the Chiefs here at 30. Chiefs defense was good last year. The secondary could have been better, especially after losing Tyrann Mathieu. Wow. So I'm gonna have them drafting Andrew Booth from Clemson here. Dude, he's a stud. He's one of the many quarterbacks that are gonna end up falling just solely because of how deep the class is. He's a ball hawk. He gets timely interceptions. He was a good player in Clemson. I think he's gonna be a stud, especially on Kansas City.
That's a good one there. I'm going to follow you up and also go corner. I'm going to go to Trent McDuffie's running mate in Washington, a name that's flown under the radar a little bit. I think he's the second best athlete at the corner position. Kyler Gordon to Cincinnati. We saw in the Super Bowl, Eli Apple was one of their starting corners, and he actually had a pretty good year this year. But liabilities at corners still. They don't have that lockdown guy. They did a really good job improving this offensive line. Lyle Collins, Ted Karras from New England. They got Alex Kappa from Tampa. So they did a very good job there. They're probably still looking to add a lineman, but I think you added 3 really quality linemen, and you have a pretty good center already. Let's move to the second or third round and get some defensive playmakers in the first.
All right, we got pick 32, finishing up with the Detroit Lions from the Rams. I said back at pick 2, I definitely think they could take a quarterback in this draft. It wasn't pick 2. We went edge with Walker. There's a lot of holes in this team, but they're picking at 32 and 34. And I think they go at pick 32, Desmond Ridder, quarterback from Cincinnati. And the reason I like him at 32 is because of that 5th-year option. If they take him in the first round, they get that extra year. I think that's a big deal. They probably don't take a quarterback at 34 if they don't take one at 32. So I think Ridder is the smart pick. I thought about Howell here too. Pickett's still on the board. I feel like Ridder is the guy that they love, and he rounds out the draft on draft night day 1, and we'll see what happens on day 2.
Yeah, that was a good one, fellas.
Yeah, I did want to touch Ajabo fell all the way out.
Ajabo out of the first round with the Achilles tear,
which is crazy.
Probably,
but
he may not, but he probably will.
The players that I would say that were remaining, Carl Aftis, I definitely think will still be a first-round pick, but I agree with everything Reese said before at the Dallas pick.
This was also our first time doing this, so a lot of it was on the fly. I did miss a few guys. This was awesome though, because like I said before, it gives us 3 different perspectives instead of just our own. If I did 10 mock drafts right now, they're all going to be really similar because we're all pretty set in our ways. That's how we all are, and it opens up new possibilities like the Texans with Kyle Hamilton at 3, and now they can go, like I had said before, they can go to pick 13 for that to build in the trenches or add a playmaker. So really good stuff. A lot of guys fell, and it shows that it's possible.
It's such a deep class. It is such a deep class, especially
not top heavy at all.
It's crazy. I mean, there's still, in my opinion, a large amount of starters at the corner and edge position.
Do I think Kenny Pickett's a first-round pick? Probably, but there's a lot of good guys up on this board too that went.
I'll tell you what. So I wouldn't be shocked to see him go at 6 after if
there's a few
Willis.
There's definitely a few spots where he could go, but I don't hate any of the other picks that we made instead.
No, I think these are good. I think this was a good draft, honestly.
Yeah, and
I don't think anyone leaves this draft, like disappointed. GM wise. I thought that.
I mean, they're all good picks.
You got good players, couple tough picks from 15 to 32, like always when you're doing mocks. But overall, I mean, so one really interesting drop out of the first round is Kenny Pickett.
Mm-hmm.
He had a great
and Ritter we get 2 QBs gone in the first round, and Ritter is the second. We had Malik Willis at 6, Ritter at 32. So that leaves Howell, Pickett, Corral out of the first round here, which is possible. Pickett did not did do great this offseason, this draft season, especially with the size of his hands, brings up a lot of red flags and just past failures like A.J. McCarron with small hands and just great college quarterbacks that couldn't put it together because they couldn't hold the NFL ball. And he didn't – how many clips of Kenny Pickett's pro day did you see? None, because he didn't make any massive throws at the pro day. I saw every throw Malik Willis made today, whether I was watching it or not. Same deal with Zach Wilson last year. I didn't see many from a couple other guys that were supposed to be going over Zach Wilson. So
there's definitely a few spots I think Pickett could go. I think he can go to the Falcons, which would, like, now without Matt Ryan, that could throw a wrench in the things. I don't think he will, but he could. Could he go to the Commanders or the Steelers? Yeah, but I don't know. I think everyone walks away this first round pretty happy. And even if he was there at 32, I still think Desmond Ridder is a guy that the Lions like. Well, now I don't know that for sure, but just rumblings and all that stuff. I think Ridder, there's a real possibility that he goes 32. So anything can happen. I was a little overwhelmed over here trying to pick and get everything all sorted out. I had that Jameson Williams blunder, but other than that, it went pretty well. I enjoyed it.
Yeah, that was fun. We'll definitely do more of these and closer to the draft. Mm-hmm. But this was fun because all day I'm hearing Malik Willis, Lions, and Travon Walker from JD out of nowhere, which is a great pick if they decide to go anywhere other than quarterback. I almost feel like if it's not Dibs, it's definitely going to be Walker if it's not a quarterback.
I love that. I don't know. I just love the idea of we're sitting there.
That would be great. That would be
Hutchinson goes 1, which is not too much of a surprise anymore.
Yeah.
But then Walker goes 2, and it's like all hell is going to break loose. Like draft night's going to be awesome.
Oh,
it's just Walker at absolutely. 2. It's interesting because Walker at 2, I'm not saying that obviously the general manager of these teams are much more prepared to make their picks than we are and are much more have much more of a feeling of what's going to happen before them. But Walker at 2 is not totally a guy I'm considering at 4, where I'm considering Jermaine Johnson and Dibs if he falls there and Ekwonu. But Walker getting picked at 2, like at pick 4, I'm like, oh God. That kind of just throws a wrench into it because I didn't expect it.
And it's just like that stuff too. Like we're obviously the GMs are more prepared. They have all these guys on their big boards who they're gonna have in front of us. We're kind of just doing this on the fly. So like pick 5 of the Giants, I think Sauce Gardner is a great pick. I didn't even consider Evan Neal being there, but getting him at 5 and getting Neal at 5 and Gardner at 7 too is totally possible. So
and KB, you mentioned before that not on the show, but that Charles Cross, his pro day impressed the Jets and Giants a lot. So maybe keep an eye out for the Jets or Giants to snag Cross.
And if we do,
but there's some those three alignment are studs. Evan Neal's a freak, and Ekwonu is just on another level.
Penning's a stud too.
It's a great O-line class.
O-line draft too. It's just a great
O-line draft. It's a great draft for what the Jets and Giants both need, and for the Packers too. Speaking of the
wide receivers, man,
because you have those wide receivers deep. So out of the teams with the double picks, this is my final question, and then I'm done. Out of the teams with double picks, who do we think made out the best, including Philly? Just teams with more than one first-round pick. Who do we think leaves this draft in the best shape, most improved?
I think it's I don't know, bias because I made one of the picks. I think it's the Giants, and I think the Neal pick is just a steal too. So based on this, I think it's the Giants, but I think the Jets made out really well. I think the Texans made out great. I think the Packers. I don't think the Packers take 2 wide receivers, but they're going to take 2-3 wide receivers over the course of the draft. And if it goes like this, I think they make out insanely well too. So
this scenario for the Jets doesn't make them any better in the short term at 4 with Ekwonu, because you already have a good offensive line at 4 on paper. It's a good offensive line. Paper doesn't play though, but you have a good offensive line anyways. But in the long term, you don't know if you're going to ever be able to get a guy like Ekwonu again on draft night if Fant leaves, if Becton is just an absolute injury-prone tackle. So really fun stuff tonight. We'll definitely be doing more of these. We'll be live on Friday as well, as always. Any closing remarks here?
Yeah. Last thing I'll say, KB, just going back to the 2 pick teams. If Hutchinson does not go to the Lions, I think it's a loss for them. They can obviously make up for it. They have 2 and 31. But if Hutchinson, who was originally always penciled in at 2, doesn't go to the Lions, it's unfortunate. I think he's going to go to the Jags. The more and more
how much of a chance do we think Detroit has at Malik Willis? I think it's pretty high. I don't know. I don't feel like it's going to happen.
I don't feel like it's going to happen. That's why I think
it doesn't seem like it will.
I think definitely trade out at pick 2 is a possibility. But if they stay in, I don't think they take Willis. So I went Walker, but they could go Thibs. They can go anywhere at 2. You have all the options in the world. It would be unfortunate though if they didn't get Hutchinson because it just seemed like that was a match made in heaven for weeks.
For teams like the Lions and the Giants, who just had coaches and general managers hired in the last 2 years, they have their full contracts ahead of them. You're going to have by next year, the Lions have to have their starter for Dan Campbell. But deeper quarterback class, you know that they're scouting next year's class as well as this if they're interested in the quarterback. So it's not like a couple of these other teams, Houston, Jets, Jaguars, where they have time, these guys. Joe Douglas has his starter already. The Jaguars have their starter already, so the Lions and Giants have some time. So if they want to start building the roster for next year's quarterback, if they like the depth of the class, then that's where I see those teams going. I don't see them going with Willis in this one, even if they love him. I don't know.
Yeah, it's a tough pick at 2.
Willis next year might be like the 3rd or 4th best QB. So
I agree. I do agree with that.
But this year he's the 1st, and I think he's a great prospect.
And are you going to be in this position again? Probably the Lions.
Yeah,
probably the Lions. The Lions
and
the
have 5-6 wins max.
Lions and the Giants probably will be in this position again. So you got
if it goes well for the Giants, they won't be, and hopefully Daniel Jones is the guy. But I don't see them definitely don't see them taking quarterback this draft. Lions remains to be seen. I'm so excited for draft night, and we'll be doing more of these too. So
definitely. All right. Well, thanks for tuning in. We'll be live on Friday, like I said. This will probably be out on Wednesday of the week, March 23rd. That would be. JD, Reese, thank you. Been a privilege being a general manager with you guys.
My pleasure.
For the night.
Pleasure.
It's always a pleasure.
Always.
And we're about to get baseball going soon, a couple weeks away from baseball. Finally, we're getting into the month of the draft, the month of opening day baseball. So
the month we've been waiting for.
April, the month we've been waiting for, exactly. So I'm sure we'll have more free agency news on Friday and everything else. Make sure to subscribe, like the video. Check us out on the GBU Pod on Instagram, the GBU Pod on TikTok, and the GBU Pod on Twitter. And see you Friday.
Peace.
Yep.